Before we get started, this video is not going to fight for your attention. It is going to train it instead. So what I want you to do is whenever you find yourself, your mind wandering, thinking about something else, I want you to bring your focus back to this black bit of tape on my top. And you're going to find by recentering your focus, it's just going to train your brain, and you're going to find that your focus and intention in other aspects of your life improve as well. So anyway, let's get straight into the video. One video changed my life. The question is, what video was that? Was it the video that I posted that gained over 500,000 followers? Was it the first ever video that I posted on YouTube? Or was it a video just like this that I watched that changed my life? And could this be the video that changes yours? And also, while we're on it, is it even worth chasing your dreams and following your passions? Because I can tell you right now, I work more than I ever have before, and I earn $50,000 less every single year. So is it even worth it? See, for any of this to make any sense, you're going to have to know a little bit more about me. So let's go back in time a little bit. Editor, what are you doing? Not that far back in time, but back in time to when I was at high school. Back at high school, I was that real shy kid. I couldn't really talk to anyone. I had zero confidence. I was that kid that would spend their morning teas and lunchtimes in the library talking about video games with my friends. I had so little confidence. I couldn't talk to girls. I couldn't talk to anyone. I felt like everyone was looking at me. And it got to a point where I couldn't even go to a restaurant. I would go to a restaurant and people would look at me and I would think, I don't know, I would always be worried what people would think about me. And maybe right now you're sitting there going, well, how does that person make videos and is talking to hundreds of thousands of people? But we'll get to that. And I want to worth noting that video games was a real passion of mine. I used it to escape, and I would play 5-6 hours a day with friends, and looking back at it, it was one of my favourite times of my life. I still look back at those sleepovers and friends and playing those video games, and it was just a real passion of mine. And this is important because it's going to come in a little bit later. So just remember that video games was something really important. So let's fast forward. I continue through, I go through high school. I'm always like, oh, I've got to get good grades. Then I can get to university, get to the next thing, whatever. And I go to university to study mechanical engineering. You know, I'd always been good with my hands and I was like, oh, let's try some different things. And then the first year in, I was like, nah, this isn't for me, and switched to software engineering. Because for me, it was like, it's like a video game. I'm just solving these little problems and I get to spend time on computers and I can be a little hermit and stay shy and it's just a perfect thing. So fast forward, we finish uni. Then I get my first job. And then it hits. 2 weeks in to my new job, I start spiraling. All of a sudden, it hits me. This is the rest of my life. You know, before, you've always got something to work towards and you're like, oh, I've got to get these good grades so I can get to the next year, and then got to get to uni and do well so then I can get a job. And then you get the job and you're like, what now? And to be honest, it was quite a hard time because anyone looking in from the outside was like, you have the perfect life. You picked an awesome career. You can start work when you want. It's really flexible. You play table tennis all the time and all of that at work. And why would you want anything more? You get paid well. But for me, it was me suffering on the inside. You know, I just felt lost. You know, and maybe you can relate to this feeling of you're sort of working a good job and you're working away and you're doing these things, but inside, even though to everyone else it looks like you're going really well, it's you're just struggling. And it got to me, it just got deeper and deeper. It just felt like time was passing. My life was just sort of wasting away. And I was just really lost. And it got so bad, I don't like using the word sort of like depression and depressed, but I genuinely, I just felt numb. You know, the same passions that I was doing before just didn't really have the same enjoyments, and I could feel my body sort of shutting down from the inside. You know, from the outside, everything looked fine. And it got so bad, it got to a point where I was like, okay, I need to see someone about this. And they can help fix it. So I ended up going to a counsellor. We had one through work. And I sort of waited 2 weeks, finally got it booked in, and I went along. And she asked me a few questions. She goes, are you eating well? And I was like, yep, I'm eating the cleanest I've ever eaten, because I was sort of trying to look good for a Bali trip coming up. And so I was eating really healthy, really well. She goes, oh, okay, that's good. Are you like doing exercise? And I was like, yep, I'm going to the gym 4 to 5 times a week. I've got football, got karate. And she was like, okay, that's good. Are you taking some time for you? Are you taking some breaks? And I was like, yep, no, I still have plenty of time, and I watch movies and stuff when I get home from work, and I just relax and unwind, and she goes, okay. And then I could see this sort of blank feeling go across her face, as if she realised there was nothing she could say. Because in her mind, I was doing the model things that everyone in this sort of situation would just solve, you know? And so I walked out of that being like, what a flippin' waste of time. Why did I wait 2 weeks? And I was frustrated, you know? And that's when it clicked, that I had to do this myself. You know? Like, I had to figure out how to fix this because no one else could. At that exact moment, I realised I had 2 choices. The first one, stay where I was and probably just get more and more into the sinking hole of just life is just crushing and just wasting time. Or I decide to make a change and just see where it ends up. Say, hey, screw it. I'm just going to try, see what ends up. And so I decided. I decided to throw myself fully into making a mobile app. It was something that I'd always been interested in the back of my mind, but never did it. And you might also be thinking, well, okay, so he's made a mobile app. How did he get to talking in front of a camera right now? This still makes 0 sense. We're getting there. We're getting there. And I'm going to skip over a bit of the story because it's not really super important. And it's not sort of probably helping you to figure out what's this one video that saved and helped me get to the point of pursuing my dreams. But we'll get there. And also, remember, every time you lose focus, are you bringing back your focus to this black point? Because I want this video also to improve your focus, not just learn from what I've been through. And so, we were here and I was like, okay, I'm going to develop a mobile app. It was always something I was passionate about. I didn't really know where to start, but I just started. And in that moment, I figured I wasn't really getting enjoyment from doing this thing. You know, like I was like, oh, I'd always wanted to make a mobile app. And I started and I wasn't getting the enjoyment that I thought I would from doing it. But I was like, hey, I know where I am over here. And that's absolutely shit. And I don't enjoy that. So I might as well just keep going and see where it goes. And so I stuck it through. I spent a full year, every single day, probably 4 or 5 hours, writing code to make this app. And I released it, and it pretty much flopped and whatever. But it was what I needed. It gave me a sense of control over my life. And I genuinely believe this is one of the biggest things that causes that like lost feeling of I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I just feel like time's passing. I personally believe it comes back to a lack of control. What aspects in your life do you not feel like you've got control over? So for me, it was like, okay, well, I don't feel like I've got control over my time. I've got to work when they want me to work, and I don't have control over like how much money I make or anything like that. And it's someone else telling me when I'm worth more money and I didn't like that. And so by making this app and throwing this stuff out there, I was like, hey, I don't know if this is going to succeed, but at least I felt in control. And that's when I decided, hey, I'd always wanted to sort of share my spiritual journey. And you can see this is where it comes in to the first video that maybe was the video that changed my life. It was the first video I posted on this YouTube channel, probably almost about three and a bit years ago. And it's so embarrassing looking back at it. But at least I sat there in front of a camera and just put it out there. I just started. And so you could argue that was number one video. But also, that doesn't really help you, does it? You're sitting watching this video going, okay, well, maybe I don't want to post a video. So that doesn't help. So we'll continue. The second video was, obviously, I started posting these videos. Every 3 weeks, I was trying to post like one video. And I was putting so much time into this, But it was sort of built up that discipline that I had from working on the app consistently that I could just continue doing this, right? And so even though working on this app like didn't really sort of lead to anything, it gave me the skills and things to actually sort of be able to succeed in this video stuff. So I continued posting videos. We're going to fast forward a little bit. Started posting some videos. And then I spent 3 months on a single video. It was on 100 days of meditation. And it's probably my favorite video that I've made to date. But it took so long and I was like, hey, I need to figure out how to do this a little bit more sustainable. So like maybe instead of doing these long videos, I'll do some short videos. And so I started posting on TikTok. I was like, oh, I'll just post the odd video on TikTok. And that's when the second video that could have been the video that changed my life happened. 2 weeks into posting these TikTok videos, I had a video that absolutely sent it. And the crazy thing is, I could have told you, and I would have told you, but there's a whole story behind that I'd love to go into if you're curious. But long story short, I posted a video and it blew up. Within 2 weeks, I had like 187,000 followers, and this is all about sort of helping people train their attention and their focus, just like I'm trying to do here with this video, right? It's just bringing back your focus to this. And it went pretty much viral. I'd gained so many followers, and this is when things changed. So you could argue this was the video that changed it. Kind of. So at this point, the whole video had blown up. My phone was like dinging, absolutely going nuts. And I was like, oh my God, this is overwhelming. And then the stress hit. Before, I'd been posting videos and it got 200 views and it didn't really matter. I was like, oh, it doesn't matter if people see them. And then this one sent it. And now I was like, wait a minute, now there's people watching. There was so much pressure. And I kid you not with these hours, like these aren't made up numbers. For those 3 weeks after that video blew up, not 3 weeks, I should say 3 months, I was working 100 to 120 hour weeks. I still had my full 40-hour week full-time job as a software engineer. And then in my I kid you not, every waking moment was creating this content, planning this content, putting it out there because I just wanted to put so much value to the people watching and help people with their phone use become more mindful and reduce their screen time. It was so fulfilling, and it still is. And I can genuinely say, well, we'll get to it, but it was it gave me that sense of purpose that I'd always been wanting for. The issue is, it was not sustainable. I was doing 120-hour weeks, and something has to give. We can't keep doing that. And at some point, I had to make the decision, do I go sort of all in on this content stuff, see if I can take it anywhere, throwing away literally this perfect job in everyone else's eyes? And I decided to take the leap. Sort of. It was in a controlled state of I found a new job that was willing to accept that I worked for 2.5, 3 days a week, because that way I could still pay for the bills and for food and stuff, and I didn't have to worry about where am I going to get rent from. And then I went all in on this content. And I'm still doing that a year and a bit later. But the thing here that I want to let you know is that, hey, chasing your dreams and making this thing and discovering this thing, often comes with a lot more work than you realize. Like before, all I had to do was work 40 hours a week, and I could clock off on the weekends and have a great time. So maybe that's what you're designed for, and that's what you genuinely enjoy. And if so, I'm kind of jealous. But for me, I wanted a little bit more, and I feel like maybe if you're watching this, maybe you're in that same situation where you're like, oh, I'm working full time, or I'm about to get a job, but it's not really what I want to do. How do I work on that? And so I tried a number of different things. I was like, okay, well, now that I don't have this as a job, and I've turned down essentially $50,000 every year to create this content, I'm not even making really any money from it. What do I do? And people thought I was so stupid. You know? Like, why are you throwing such a good job away? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Just to make stupid videos on the internet? But for me, it wasn't stupid. I was having an impact on people's lives. And for me, that was worth more than $50,000 a year. Which is crazy to think, because I was always so money driven and I was so critical. But when I actually thought about it, money wasn't the thing that I wanted. It was the freedom and the feeling of purpose and control over my life that I wanted. So even though I work so much more than I used to, it's a decision that I would make 100 times over. So anyway, we're getting a little bit distracted, and I'm sure you've had to go back to this point probably multiple times during this video. But now let's get to the bit that can actually potentially help you, right? So we've had these videos of first YouTube video. Could have been the moment. Maybe it was the first video that blew up and all of a sudden I had heaps of followers and stuff. Maybe that was the thing that changed my life. But I almost want to say it was a video just like this one. And I genuinely believe that this video here can change your life, if you allow it to. See, I don't know if you remember, but back towards the start of this video, I told you that it would be important to remember that I was really passionate about gaming. And so, for me, I remember watching PewDiePie. I'm not sure if you know him, but he's a big, huge gaming streamer. That's what he started off. He's now had over 100 million followers, right? But back then, I was following him when he had less than 100,000. And I remember watching this video, and he was just having a great time. Like, he was doing what he loved. It was the same with another creator like KSI. He was creating video games in his bedroom, just like filming stuff. And for me, just following along and seeing their videos and seeing how far they'd come from doing their passion but putting in work as well, what you could achieve. And it's videos like this that I'm hoping that you can see, hey, this is a normal, shy guy. He couldn't even talk in front of people. He had zero confidence. And now he's here talking to literally hundreds of thousands of people and coaching people to do the exact same thing. Helping people follow their passions and figure out how to actually focus better and reduce their screen time and actually having a positive impact on people's lives. Like, that can be you as well. But it comes with a choice. Like right now, this video is coming to an end. And you can just say, hey, you can watch this and be like, hey, I could be like that guy. I could do something similar. Maybe something in this video resonated with you being like, hey, I have that same feeling where I feel trapped and I don't really know what I'm doing. I have no control over my life. I don't know what I'm doing. But he did it. And other people have done it. And I've also noticed as I create content and I view content, people follow their passions and they play piano or something in front of public people and they make content about it and they make hundreds of thousands of dollars as well. Like, I genuinely believe there is a way to make money from any single one of your passions. But it takes something that you actually want to do. You know, like these days it's like, hey, let's get this quick, and let's drop ship or sell this. I've also tried that. I started a clothing brand, I cut that down. I've tried all these different things. But the thing that I found, it's so important to stick consistent. But it's hard to stick with something consistent if you're just doing it for the money. Don't get me wrong, I think it can be a great motivating factor. But when you begin, it's hard to keep going if you're just doing it for the money. And in my story, I feel like there's so many different aspects that I could have gone down, and maybe I'll do in future videos. But right now, I want you to decide and just think, before you go to the next video, what are some things that I do just maybe want to try? Some hobbies that I had in the past, or things I'm curious, or maybe right now you already know what that thing is. And just asking yourself, how could I integrate that into my current life? It doesn't have to be some extreme thing like I'm going to quit my job and do this. But how can you maybe in your spare time start something up? Or do more of the things that you love? And if you want some more help, we can jump on a call and just see how it goes. I'm just hoping that this is the video that has that positive impact on you.